can be very stressful for dementia residents entering dementia units because it's a new environment, there's contained mobility, living with a whole set of strange people that they don't know, and it's just very different routine. Every aspect about it is different to their previous life. So adjusting to this is very difficult, especially with few resources at hand. But the dementia residents that I was working with in the dementia unit and the workshops I took did realise that there was one thing under their control which enabled them to cope with this stress, and that was attitude. Attitude was theirs. So if they could develop a positive attitude and develop positive feelings from that, then this held them in good stead to be able to cope with the stresses and challenges of living in a dementia unit. And they did very well with this. There was lots of effort, good effort from both sides, and most of the residents managed to do very well. But with the positive thinking, as they called it, there has to be heart with it. That's the thing. Not just thinking, but positive thinking, bringing positive feelings, has to have positive heart with it. For example, there was one lady in contrast to this who, she was always thinking. She was always doing quizzes and crosswords. She was very analytical. She'd been a university lecturer, and you could see that she was always quizzing, herself, each other, and what was happening in the workshops. She wouldn't speak much, I have to say, and she didn't socialise. That was the thing. She didn't warm herself to others for whatever reason. She seemed to be embittered for some reason, I think from some past event that she'd never got over. So even though she was able to maintain her cognition, piles of crosswords fully filled out and accurate, attesting to that fact, she wasn't able to make friends, and she never did make friends. And because of that, she was shut down and shut off from other people, and happiness she just didn't have the level of happiness that warm relationships brings. I mean, not exactly cold-hearted, but very cool and distant, that would be the way of putting it. Whereas in contrast, other dementia residents, there was one man, he was a very intelligent man, bright, astute, good with his history, good with his reading, loved the news at night, loved engaging in discussion, but he was also very generous in helping the less privileged women who were less able. Not men, because men tend to be independent of each other in dementia units, but he was very good with the women, especially the stressed, escalated women. So he did have the heart, he did have the cognition, and because of both, he was well liked by everyone at the dementia unit. Now, comparable to this, there was another woman as bright as him, as astute, and they were friends, and she was a big reader, but she wasn't really that friendly. She was friendly to those of a similar ilk to her, of which there were few, because of being at that level in a dementia unit, there's not a lot of people that can read well and communicate astutely. So really, she was just communicating with only two women, really, and the rest of the women she was pretty distant with and sarcastic at times. But she began to realise that this wasn't the way to go, because in the workshops that we had, always the common theme being positive thinking and building confidence, everyone feeling that that was the theme of the day that they needed to work on for the whole year and the year after, with tolerance along that. Mind you, when you're positive and confident, you tend to be more tolerant. So anyway, she was coming to these workshops. She quite liked the workshops. She liked the cognition, the engagement, the communication, the thinking, cognitive aspect. But she still wasn't warming up much. Until, I think it was the end of the year, she started to say to me, well, I think I better make more of an effort. I need to be a bit more tolerant with the other woman and not as abrupt, and I know that my humour is not always the best. And so she realised that her sarcasm, she was very funny, as it happened, she was very funny, but often at the expense of others. But she realised this, and she realised she was hurting other people, not only residents, but staff. She was that clever. I mean, yeah, not good. Anyway, she started to work on herself, and she had these one or two other residents who mentored her in this. Didn't exactly mentor her, but were examples for her in this, including the gentleman. And you could see her observing his ways and taking note. And she did turn. It took her about 3-4 months of effort, but she turned from being sarcastic to being kind, pretty much. I mean, with the woman that was shouting and screaming, she was certainly tolerant, not shouting and screaming as she used to back. She would either be quiet or sometimes have a warm, nice thing to say to them. Really, that was inspiring. So you can bring about those positive feelings, those natural feelings, those good feelings. Everyone can, with the cognition, do this, including in dementia units, which I witnessed, which inspired me greatly. That's why I've been inspired to write these books, Residents Voice, Residents Rise, on Amazon, Goodreads, and all these 1,000+ videos on these topics. So thank you for your viewing, likes, thumbs up. Please subscribe. Thank you.